So we need to make our binding. We've cut our 2.5-inch strips. Now we're going to go ahead and sew all of those strips together so we have one long line. We've put in matching bobbin thread and matching thread in the sewing machine. We're going to sew these up and then go over to the ironing board. And we've sewn our strips together. Now we're coming over to the ironing board. We're going to go ahead and cut off our selvage. We're going to fold our fabric directly in half. And we're going to go ahead and iron it in half. And then roll it up and take it over to the long arm. And we've finished our quilt on the long arm. We're going to get out our handy carpenter's tool and we're going to measure the edge and we're going to chalk them to make sure we get square corners. And now we're going to take our binding that we have created, 2.5-inch strips, sewn together, measured so we have the right amount, folded in half and pressed. And now we are at our long arm. So now we are going to take our pins and we're going to pin down. We've done the corner already, so now we're going across the bottom. We're going to pin the top so the open edge is at the bottom. And we're going to pin that all the way across. And then we're going to use our bullseye on our long arm to do our points across the bottom. And we're going to stitch. And we're going to come up here and click our bullseye. And we notice that when we click it, our bottom comes up with our angle. And then we go on back to the sewing, quilting long arm and touch our buttons where it's going to sew. And the program we're using is Creative Studio for the Statler Stitcher. Whoops. And we're going to push our buttons. We're going to go off the quilt, come back onto the quilt. And I only have one hand, forgive me. And we're going to make sure we're right at the very edge of the bottom. And I'm going to go ahead and use two hands, but we're going to click various spots all across the bottom, making sure the bottom of our metal is right at the bottom of the yellow. When I've come to the other edge, I'm going to stop about 1/4 inch out, touch, and then pull down at an angle off my quilt. And now I'm done with the bullseye. I'll come back over here. I'm going to X out of my angles, go back up to the top, and I am ready to quilt. So I'm going to hit quilt. My machine is moving to my starting point. And I'm going to pull my thread up. And we're going to stitch across on that bottom line that we've made with our dots on the Creative Studio program. And if you're all hands-on and no Creative Studio, then my friends, you can do this identical, but you're hitting one stitch at a time or doing your uniform stitch and making sure you're in a parallel going horizontal. Parallel. You are doing a precision stitch. Okay, so we're changing the needle in the Gamble Statler stitcher, and we have just removed with a screwdriver the previous needle, and now we're going to put in the new needle.
And what you need to do, it's got a rounded side and it's got a grooved side. The grooved side runs up and down, and that side faces you. And you put it in. Make sure you got it in as high as it'll go.
And groove side faces me.
Groove side faces you. Then you'll tighten your screw. Screwdriver to go in. There we go. You don't want to tighten it so much it's Loctite, because you want to make sure that that eye is exactly facing you. Well, like a degree or two off from straight on facing you.
Okay.
And then you tighten the needle.
And then we're done. We just rethread it and we're good to go.
That's right.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.
And there we have beautiful binding on the quilt. Ready to cut it off the batting, cut it off the long arm, and then we'll do the second round. And this is where we combined the two pieces. We'll just give that a hand tack and then catch it with the needle and thread. And I am very, very excited about this quilt, so thank you for joining me on my journey. And please hit that subscribe button because I've got another one coming up. I don't know if I can even wait 3 or 4 days to show it to you. See you real soon, my friends.